After I did my prison time, I was sent to a halfway house in Utah. On my second day in the halfway house, I was sitting in a meeting with 10 other guys, and the counselor walked in and said, "How many of you guys are feeling awkward and miss being in the joint?" And I raised my hand and I said, "I feel really weird." And there was a guy sitting next to me. His name was Chris. He was a big guy. He was like 6'8", super, just a gentle giant, kind soul. And he said, "I feel really weird." He said, "I was locked up for 22 years. Every day I went to work and I ate burrito bowls on the weekend with my friends. I don't know what to do now that I'm out here." Well, Chris and I immediately built this connection. I remember at the halfway house, you couldn't be outside, the guys and the girls at the same time in the rec yard, so they would give us each an hour to go out and walk. One day I'm outside walking and a couple of guys come out and say, "Hey, when are you going to be done?" Because they wanted to go outside. And Chris walked out and he goes, "You better leave Miss Portia alone. Quit disrespecting her." He was just so sweet. When I left the halfway house, I stayed in touch with Chris, and about every 6 months we would get together and go to lunch. I found out that Chris had grown up in Chicago. His mother was poor, single mother, never knew his dad. He and his two brothers were kind of running the streets, and Chris got involved in a drug deal and eventually ended up getting a 30-year prison sentence with the feds. Spent 22 years locked up, came home, got a job, was doing well. He said he liked to go to the movies, and he loved to play softball. One time on my way to go meet Chris for lunch, I got in a car wreck, and I called him and said, "Hey, I'm not going to make it." Immediately, he's like, "Where are you, Portia? I'll be on my way." And I said, "No, I'm okay." I called my husband. I'm close to home. And I noticed later that day, he put on Facebook, "Please pray for my friend Portia. I think she's in trouble." He was just so sweet. The last time I saw Chris, I invited him to go to church with me and my family. Shortly after that, Chris had a heart attack and died. Chris was 43 years old. He loved to go to the movies and he loved to play softball. He was kind and gentle, and he spent 22 of his 43 years locked up in federal prison on a drug charge. God bless you, Chris.